Hey, Reviews and Done. Who's giving you a dose this week?
All right, folks. Once again, it's your boy Derek Dunn back with another A1 interview. Today, I have the pristine pleasure of talking with a gentleman who shared the screen with the likes of Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart, Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and numerous others. That's right, I'm talking about the incomparable Mr. Kellen Lutz. And he has a new film coming out called Desert Dawn, which drops this coming Friday, May 16th. So welcome to the line, sir, and how you doing today?
I'm good, sir. How you doing, man?
Blessed and highly favored. Looking forward to chopping up with you
Love
for a
that.
couple of minutes.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what can you tell us about your new project, Desert Dawn?
It's a fun action movie, man. I got to work with Cam Gigande, who I haven't worked with since the first Twilight. He played the bad guy, the character James. Always been a huge fan of him. We actually auditioned for everything against each other, as you do when you sort of blonde hair, blue-eyed, alley looking guy. But to work alongside each other and have him not play the bad guy was really interesting and fun. He's talented, super collaborative. Just really cool because in Twilight we just had a face off and I killed him in the movie. So this one we had to actually have some good scenes together. Got to work with Al Bravo and his production team who I'd worked with on Do Justice, the movie I did prior to Desert Dawn, the year prior. And when this movie came around, Chad Law wrote it. I had wrapped up Do Justice with Al, and we just liked working together. He's very collaborative, great producer to work with, makes great movies. And I was like, hey, would love to work with you again if you ever have another script or anything that you think would be fitting for me. Let me know. I'll read it. So some time passed, and he had this one. He sent it my way. I read it, and I saw some places that we could add to the story and make it a little bit more dramatic and action packed and layer these characters a little bit more. And so we just worked on it and got to a place where we were going to cast it and shoot it. We shot it, and you got Desert Dawn, and it was a lot of fun to work in Nevada with them and the team. I like my character a lot. I like the mysteries. I like, there's some good humor in there. It's kind of paying homage to, just the classic action movies where they're popcorn movies that you just want to sit, be entertained. There's some cheesiness. There's some, oh man, that would never happen. But that's what we love about action movies. The ones that just suck you in and you have a fun ride of a roller coaster with.
So I had a chance to see the film, and while it is an action film, small spoiler alert for the folks listening, you suffer a loss in the movie, and the places you go, emotionally came across so organic and so natural, like it wasn't forced. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So where did you go mentally to prepare for that?
I do like this movie because it's not just, I love all shapes and sizes of action movies, but this one does have some heart to it and some loss and some drama. And so for me, just any sort of loss is terrible. And having children, it brings you to another level that aids in your sort of like you can imagine stuff, right? I can imagine what it'd be like to be married. I can watch a lot of movies on marriage. And until you get married, you're like, oh, there's those nuances. And I grew up in a house of boys. If any of my brothers died, it'd be freaking tragic, right? But once I had like my daughter, and in this film, I had lost my sister. There's something about being a big brother or a father to a daughter, and then it's an evil world out there in some places. So just thinking about what they could do to a female, it happens to men. I mean, there's darkness out there, but when you actually have something that you can anchor into in reality and be like, what if? And you allow your mind to go down all those rabbit holes of what you would do or how you would feel. I would never love to live there. I would never wish that on anyone. But as an actor, it is important and it's a part of my process to create that scenario and feel it and experience it whilst knowing that it's not real, but to have those real feelings for it and then be able to express that on film. So it's a process, right? Like all acting, there's different layers to it. I mean, hats off to the actresses who cry on cue and just go there throughout the whole movie. Like you watch some movies that are just so sad all the time and you're like, man, the effect that must have on your body. But then some people can just do it on cue, and so to each their own. But it was a different sort of movie for me to do with those subject lines in there.
So you got your start modeling, if I'm not mistaken. Was making the pivot to acting always part of your game plan?
No, no, modeling wasn't a part of my game plan. Acting was never a part of my game plan. I was in high school and I was mowing lawns for $5 a lawn, which you're 14, you can't work a normal job. And my buddy who was modeling came out in like a Dillard's ad or a JCPenney's ad, and he made $500 just to pose there. And we hazed him. We're like, look at you, little model. And he didn't care. He was confident as all get out. I wish I remember who it was or still was in contact with him. But I remember like making fun of him as well, just, as boys do on a basketball team. And he's like, screw you guys. I made $500 for that. And like, we're like, it's like a record player, and you're like, how do you do that? Like, how do you get into that? Because that's 100 lawns for me to mow. I'm a smart guy,
Yeah.
business guy. So he helped me get into that. And I started modeling and had the time of my life. And then when I moved to California for football and chemical engineering for college, I got into acting once I got into California and I was going to college because modeling kind of turned into like that's just the next thing. You could do commercials. I grew up in Arizona, so acting wasn't really a thing there. It was really, really small. And I didn't do theater growing up. But once I got to California and that world expanded career-wise, I sunk my teeth into it in all parts and thoroughly enjoyed every aspect of it and wanted to be a part of it for the rest of my life. So I did that. I just started studying and got an agent, got a manager, started booking stuff, and had to put my chemical engineering degree on hold, so to speak. And I'm grateful I did.
Cool. All right, so we got to go back in time and talk about the Twilight franchise and how was that audition process for Twilight? Were you one of the first choices, or was it down to the wire to you and other blonde hair, blue eye guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because that role, you're pale and you have black hair or like dark brown hair. So it's different than what I look like. They actually already had someone cast for my role. And I was doing Generation Kill in Africa. I was working playing a recon Marine for 7 months. I was ready for a break. Came back stateside, told my team I just want to go home, see my mom, see my brothers. And my manager was like, hey, there's this audition for this Twilight, this vampire movie that people are booking, and I think it's going to be really big. They're recasting the person that they had for the Emmett character because he didn't fit the role. I guess, my character's it's the stature that really matters. You got to be the biggest guy out of the family. That's his vampiric strength and size. And so they opened it up, and I was like, sure, I'll go. I'll go and audition for you, and I did that, and they liked me. And coming back from playing that Marine role, I was yoked. I was 225 solid. And you walk in these audition rooms and you have these, look, Hollywood's, they're small, they're skinny. People doing push-ups on the floor, and you walk by and you're like, hey, what's up, man? They're like, oh man, this big guy, right? And so just kind of got lucky, got blessed, super grateful for it, love my character, and had the best time playing Emmett in the Twilight Saga, and really grateful that I got to play such a likable, lovable character for 5 movies.
Very cool. All right, so my final question, we're going to stay back in time. I got to shout out Dean and Nightmare on Elm Street. Big,
Thank
big Jackie Earle Haley fan. So working with Jackie, did you ever get a chance to see him out of makeup, or was it just he was Freddy the entire time you were working with him?
Jackie's awesome. And his story is amazing. I don't know all the parts, but I think I remember he like quit acting, moved back to Texas, worked somewhere or started teaching Texas, and then like got another role that brought him back to acting again or something. I might be murdering that story, but I heard that story. I'm like, good on him. Because he's I remember him as a child actor, super talented, and even more talented to this day. He was just such a lovable, humble human being to chat with on set. And I just love watching him. I never like look out or type in his name to see what movies he's in, but he's always in fantastic movies that you're like, oh my God, wow, he did so great. So he was in makeup, out of makeup, just a legend of a human being and actor to work with.
Very cool. All right, sir. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to chop it up
Thanks,
with
Derek.
me. And you all can catch Desert Dawn in theaters and on streaming this Friday.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Hi, this is Rihanna.
Hey, what's up? This is Ludacris.
What's up, y'all? This is Nicki Minaj.
You're rocking with the best. It's Reviews and Dunn.